Hello, friends, and welcome back to Call Time, a TheaterPod. My name is Marisa Helene Mast, and this is the place where we get to talk about it all because every role in theater matters, and we like to laugh, learn, and call out the chaos. So sign in on the sheet, because it's call time. Okay, so I would love to introduce my guest today, who is a super lovely person, Jillian Bopp. Jillian, hey, what's up?
Hey, how are you, Marissa?
Here's a little bit of what's going to be happening on today's show.
But finding the right school where you can get that training, and it's reliable. I think training is so important. Just Jonathan Groff with a bunch of Muppets.
I feel like that's his everyday life. You're a character actor, which means you probably won't hit your prime and get a lot of work until you're 50. We go, do you hear the people sing? Well, here we are. Wasn't that great? Oh my gosh, that was...
Love it.
Oh my god. I've
actually never seen anything better in my life.
Truly, honestly, we should be up for Emmys, Oscars, Tonys, all of it. Is there an award for podcasts, or is that under Grammys?
Yeah, I think it's like a iHeartRadio award.
Cool. Awesome. Well, you never know. We're manifesting that for ourselves. I love it. So
manifesting.
Yes. Yeah. So I have a question for you.
Yes.
I believe in my heart of hearts that there is good theater cringe and bad theater cringe, because there's so much of it in any kind of fandom, but in theater, I feel like there's such a divide. What is in your heart of hearts? Good theater cringe and bad theater cringe.
I think starting with good theater cringe, starting on a high note, I think that because I was obsessed with it for years. Anyone who tries to do all of the parts in nonstop in Hamilton, good theater cringe. Yeah. They're just vibing. All right, bad theater cringe. I love my girl Cynthia Erivo. I love her. However, her creation of the new Elphaba riff.
Ooh.
I hear it all the time. I hear it all the time, especially very late at night.
Really?
When people think, I have late night classes, and so people, when we're just getting out, they'll just like belt their heart of hearts, and I'm just like, y'all, it's like midnight. Like any other time.
Oh my god, instead of like a wolf howl or an owl hoot, you just hear...
Yeah, just at the top of their lungs, and then everybody needs to join in. But in my mind, it's bad theater cringe. Just bring it down. Bring it down.
I don't want to say it's a hot take, because I'm sure other people agree with you. And honestly, I don't blame you for it. I literally, I'm walking my puppy, and there are these little girls, like kids, like, I don't know, maybe like 10, 11, riding their bikes in a circle in the playground area. And they're just yelling that at each other. Like, that's...
It's like a war cry.
I mean, it literally is, but it's also like, it was just really funny just to hear these kids just going in circles on their bikes, doing, like, it's...
And it's adorable, and I like it. It's just there's a time and place for it.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Very, very much agreed. Well, awesome. I'm glad. Sorry, I'm just thinking about the implications at midnight doing that. Oh my god.
No, it's okay. It's just like the adrenaline just gets picked up out of nowhere, and I'm like, oh my god, where is this coming from?
It's like,
where is this energy coming from?
Use it to find, like, if you're at like a con or like a big event and you need to find your friends, I would say do that. But at this point, it's not going to work. It's not. You're just gonna attract the attention of everybody joining in with you, and then you never find them again. Let's talk about our topic at hand, which is overall advocating for yourself as an actor, which is something that it's always been important, obviously, but I feel like now especially it has become such a conversation in terms of actor growth and realizing not even just the limits that we've put on ourselves, but the limits that others have given us and that we feel like we've had to follow. One of the things I wanted to discuss, which goes along with this, but also is kind of just an interesting parallel, is the fact that there are college programs at the moment cutting their theater programs. I mean, I'm sure you're aware of everything that happened with UArts in Philadelphia and the fact that that was so sudden.
Yeah, my brother was even looking for like arts programs for colleges, and he was looking at that school, and it just right after that, it was so crazy.
Yeah, I had a friend who had literally just gotten accepted, and then boom,
I can't even imagine.
And they got in on a scholarship, so like they were dropped out of nowhere.
It's just like shocked. It's so shocking.
Yeah, and I am of the belief now that you don't necessarily need a theater degree to be successful, but degrees and schools specifically for theater, performing arts in general, the fact that those are also just kind of going away doesn't help the situation either. You don't need the degree, but it's nice to go to school for a college that offers these things.
1,000%. With that expectation that it's going to be there.
Yeah.
Like when you apply. Yeah.
So how do you think this is going to affect future theater students in general? Do you think that it'll create more of an issue, or do you think that they'll be able to find alternatives?
I mean, I definitely know that with UArts specifically, there were some colleges that stepped up. Like, you know, the arts community, I think it's one of the strongest that we have.
Yeah.
And they were like, you know what? Okay, you can't go to that school. That program shut down. Come to our school. You know, you can come for free. You could come on scholarship. So I don't know if it makes it like impossible. It definitely made it harder, I will say. But like, I think it gave an opportunity for schools maybe to like, you know, wake up a little bit at the thought of just like, ooh, you know, maybe it could be more accessible. I hope it opens up like a further conversation. I mean, I even think maybe it's Juilliard. There's a couple schools now where like, you know, the first year is free, or like, you know, like you can get a full ride or something. Like it's starting to move in that direction, which I find great. I mean, I think it's so important. I think arts in schools is so important, especially for people like us who are theater kids in high school who know exactly what they want to do, and they want to go straight into it, and then having the expectation that it might not even be there when you get it's disheartening. It really is. I think it was a good example of the community opening up in that way. I don't think we should rely on it, but I think it was a good example. And I hope it bodes well for more schools doing things like that.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Very well said. It was one of those things where I think something that's really wonderful about the theater community is our sense of camaraderie when things get tough. You know, we literally, you know, we Les Mis the hell out of it. We go, do you hear the people sing? Well, here we are.
But finding the right school where you can get that training and it's reliable. I think training is so important.
Being in school was like the number one way of networking for me for a very long time. Because who else are you, if you're just, you know, a freshman in college in a theater program and you don't have the balls to go and network with like the high executives in New York or California or, you know, St. Louis, you know, who are you going to talk to?
Yeah.
Your teachers and your peers, because those are the people you're going to work with the most, and those are the people you're going to probably work with once you graduate as well, hopefully.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Yeah, it's a scary thing, networking, like, you know, walking up to like people who are probably going to be like older than you and be like, hire me, this is what I can do. Like, you know, trying to, and I mean, my school definitely helped with that, but I think it's so important as well to like learn how to formulate, how to speak, and how to advocate for yourself and how to market yourself, because like, when you're like 17, 18 going into it, it's horrifying.
I will admit that once I knew what networking was, I was like, okay, I'm going to learn how to do this. So, and for those of you that are watching that have known me for quite some time, I'm sure some of you have these. I used to give out business cards to absolutely everybody that I would meet, and it would be, you know, I had many iterations of the branding that I was putting myself as. You know, I was the other funny girl, I was the Gershwin girl, I was, you know, the fan girl, you know, I made sure to, I was like, if there's anything I'm going to do, I'm going to have business cards on hand. So I had been carrying around business cards since like high school.
But that, like, there's something to be said for like, effort and like just and putting yourself out there.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
Awesome. Now this is the part of the show where we would have an ad read, but I don't have any of those yet, so we're just going to sit here and stare at the camera. Okay, and now we're back, and we're going to get into the deep dive of the conversation, which is advocating for yourself as an actor, as a performer, as an artist. I would love for you to share how you found yourself to where you are now.
I always say I have like really strong roots when it comes to music. My dad would sing and play the guitar and like play music around the house, and then my mom would always sing to us. And so, gosh, like country music was huge. Listened to a lot of Huey Lewis and the News. My mom, huge on Barbra Streisand. My parents knew that I had a grasp for music. And then they just realized that I just had a concept of picking up music and lyrics, and they're just like, wow, okay. That's something. And then the little like elementary school shows that had like fake names and stuff. Like I did a bunch of those. And then my first show was Annie in 4th grade.
Wow. And who were you?
And I was Annie.
Oh my god, star. I love that.
Thank you. And I didn't think anything of it. I mean, I was obsessed with the movie, and I asked my parents, I'm like, what is this? And they're just like, well, you perform Annie at home anyway, so just go in the room, sing Tomorrow, and that'd be about it. I'm like, okay. So I went in the room, I sung Tomorrow, I sung Maybe, and then I got it. And I'm just like, got what? What are we doing?
You got it, girl.
Am I gonna be in the movie? I was like, what is this? But then putting that together with theater, that was like something completely new to me. And then the next year was Beauty and the Beast, and I got Belle.
Getting the leads right off the bat. Okay.
I loved it so much. I did the complete like theater kid thing. I fell for the male lead. I had a crush on him, like who played the Beast. It happens.
These are rites of passage.
Yeah, 1000%. And I learned, and I'm just like, oh, I stand on a stage, I play these parts, people watch me, and they clap. Okay, that's something. And I had fun. And then the world of community theater took hold, and I'm just like, okay, so there's people that have been doing this longer than me. There's like parents that are involved in the companies. Like, there was a lot of different dynamics there. So I ended up going to a performing arts high school for about a year and a half. Wasn't for me. I think I just missed the well-rounded experience of going to high school, and I was away from like all the people that I'd grown up with. And so a year and a half there, I just decided, I'm like, I don't think this is for me. I don't think I'm ready to be immersed in this whole world of like performing in theater quite yet. So I ended up going to my home school, and I was in 25th annual Putnam County Spelling Bee.
Let's go. Love that show.
And I was, me too. It was so fun. I was Rona, and I was Olive's mom.
Oh,
love that song.
Oh,
so
I could cry right now just thinking about that.
And then finally, my senior year, I was Tracy in Hairspray.
Let's go. Listen, you've like leads, boom, 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 boom for and you were saying like you didn't grow up with musical theater or theater in general, so to come into the theater world of your own free will. And learn to respect it enough to know when you want to take a step back and actually find balance in your life. As a kid and a teenager, that is incredible. And do you think that really helped you overall as you grew into your professional part of your theater life?
Yeah, I thought 1000%. Like the performing arts high school, I was a vocal major, and it was still new. I didn't really know much of anything, and so I would just like push and push and push and sing and sing and sing, and then I burned out. I was just like, wow, there really isn't much left here. And the one thing that the school did give me though, and how I discovered Broadway as this thing, I knew the 20th anniversary of Les Mis because my parents, they recorded it at home.
Nice.
And I watched it, and I was like the 4th grader, like pretending to die because the man I loved didn't love. It was great. I was like, I wanted to be Eponine, and then I was eventually. For like 5 years later.
I love that for you.
It was so good, manifesting
Literally.
at its best. But that school, I'd sit at the pianos, and that's where I learned Tick, Tick, Boom. I learned Next to Normalize. And then they would teach us about, they'd come in and they'd show us a new soundtrack. So the first one I remember, like, very vividly was The Last 5 Years. And I was just like, oh, okay, it's starting to click. These are things. I saw She Loves Me. I saw the revival. And that was when it really clicked. And I'm just like, oh, people do this as a job. Oh my gosh, I can continue. Oh, I really want to do this. Oh, I've been doing this since I was a kid. How did I not realize? It just blew, my brain exploded.
Yeah.
And then I took that into my homeschool, and I'm just like, okay, all right, this is what I want to do. I just want to be on a stage all the time. And then I was like, all right, I'll go to college for it. And then I went to Fairleigh Dickinson in Jersey for 3 years. Didn't work out for me.
How did you and your college experience kind of clash in terms of what they saw you as versus what you saw yourself as and what you wanted to be?
I had a lot of like really good experiences at that school, but when it came down to it, having a discussion with someone, it was that they saw me as more like I was flexible. I could play anything,
Mm-hmm.
and they saw that more helpful as like the straight plays there. And so when it came to the musicals, I was never really considered. Or I would ask, like, what can I do to be in the musicals? Because if I'm not good enough, I'm not good enough. Or I don't suit the show. But it was so many different shows for so many years. And then COVID happened. And then I was in a virtual musical. So I'm just like, okay, all right, hit the gas. Okay, we'll go back to school. And then nothing happened. And I was like, oh, okay, all right. And then, yeah, it was just a difference in opinion on where it wanted to go. Theater, I was there as a musical theater major, and so it was just it's so sad because it took so long to realize, and it was pushed a bit. I think like COVID definitely helped with not realizing it until almost the very end. And then I went there because they have a showcase. I wanted to go to a school that had a showcase, and at that point it was virtual, and it was like, all right. So I found less and less things in the end that made me want to stay. And I had friends there. A couple of them didn't even know I could sing unless I sang for them. And so it was like crazy. But I will say, and it's like I could play the blame game all day if I decide to, but it helps so many people. That theater program. I made connections that I never would have made otherwise. So my experience there, although it didn't work out in the end, like I don't regret it, and I'm glad that it has been good for so many other people. It just wasn't for me.
You know what? And I think that's the truth of it is like you said, we could do the blame game all day. We can figure out, we can nitpick and pick apart what exactly didn't happen. But the fact, I feel the same way. If a different person's experience was better and they got to do what they need to do, I'm really happy for them because, we all deserve to have the experience that's right for us. And the fact that this experience wasn't right for you is okay. I feel with you though, because when I first started at my first college, I was a theater major. I was there on a scholarship. I was recruited specifically for my acting. The number one thing that I was told by teachers and directors is, well, gosh, I guess you can just do so much. We don't know what to do with you. Which is, I realize now, is kind of a backhanded compliment. Because do we love being versatile? Absolutely. Do we love being dependable? Absolutely. But if all of this is just to be sitting there, doing something else that we're happy to do, but not what we're there for, over and over again, it eats away at you. And for someone as passionate as you, I hate to even think of you being denied opportunities of really showcasing yourself. And I'm glad that, things worked out the way that they needed to, but I can only imagine, college Jill, being frustrated or being disappointed and having to kind of adjust as just to participate.
A lot of times the closest I got to a couple of those musicals, especially when we were back in person, is I would sit outside the door. And a lot of people don't know this, but I would sit outside the theater and just listen to them. Because it sounded like they were having fun. And I was just like, oh, I wish I could do that. And it more and more just kind of became an acceptance. And it was just like, I mean, all right, maybe I'm not meant for this. It killed my confidence when I left. It did. I was just like, man, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. Should I be trying to do something else? I don't know. Like, was I missing something that other people had? There was a lot of like uncertainties and a lot of questions. And I left, and I just stopped school for a while. I worked full time at Panera Bread, and I had a lot of jobs. And then I finally had a chance to perform again, and which was Elf the Musical. And I was the mom, and it was the most joyful experience. I made some great friends. I was gonna say on that job. It wasn't a job. It was a community theater production. I made a lot of good friends on that show. Yeah, and I got to be surrounded by kids, because they were elves, and it was so lovely. It was so wonderful. A great way to get back into it. And then I was understudied at Emma in the Prom.
Awesome.
Which I love that show so much. I love that role. Every Thursday, I got to be her in rehearsal.
Awesome.
It was amazing. And a compliment that someone gave me, who was playing Barry, guy who was playing Barry, he was just like, your acting is so natural. I really hope they get to see your version of this character. Like, it was just so little things. Yeah. Little things like that, like, they stick with you. And it wasn't like, like a huge casting director or someone that could, like, get me a next job. Like, it was a man who was in Jersey. It was so nice. Yeah. No, he didn't need to say anything, but it was just those little things where it was like, okay, all right, I'm on the right path. All right, people see me doing this.
It's interesting because so when I left my first college, I was also just depleted of confidence. I wasn't sure what I was supposed to do. I just I didn't do anything, and that was honestly a little bit worse. And I just sat in my room and questioned everything. And finally my mom encouraged me to start auditioning again, because she's like, you love auditioning, you love this, just get back out there. There's some great things going on.
We love supportive
parents. Thank you, Mom and Dad. They know this all the time. I will say, though, it wasn't a success for me right away. I auditioned for, I kid you not, 12 productions of Shrek, and I got nothing.
Always Shrek.
It's always Shrek. I made it to final callbacks for 3, and the one that I like almost got, they were very rude to me in the callback, and it really just pushed me down further. Like, they were...
Yeah, you wouldn't want to work with them anyway. Yeah,
and they called me, like, desperate, and it was like, what?
For Shrek the musical?
For Shrek.
Wild.
I'm
wild.
desperate. I'm desperate for Shrek.
Final callbacks, though, I mean, hey, like...
It was something.
Good for you.
Thank you. It was something, but I was like, but I didn't book it. And at that time, I was like, if I don't book it, I'm nothing. But it wasn't until I auditioned for a local production of Company, which is probably one of my favorite Sondheim shows of all time. And the director, here's the thing, it was for a theater company I had never worked with before. Didn't really know anything about them. And I walk in, and the director looks really familiar. Okay? And I'm like, but I don't know you. And we look at each other and we go, oh my God, I know you. And the wildest thing could have ever occurred here. You know who Seth Rudetsky is, yes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, 1000%.
Love Seth. Love you, Seth. I used to go to his live tapings of his radio show in Times Square. And
that's awesome.
Yeah, and I was in 2 episodes because the first time was completely by accident because I was a nervous little little tween, but then the second time I was purposefully in it, and I was doing the Broadway trivia, and the person who is competing against me is kicking my ass at Broadway trivia, and he was so good, and I was like, oh, that's wild, crazy. And that man was the director of this show. And
that's awesome.
And we just looked at each other like, oh my God. And then it turns out he knows like my family from years back, and it was like a whole weird thing. But it was really cool because he was very encouraging throughout the whole audition and callback process, and he gave really wonderful notes, and he saw something in me so eventually I was cast as Marta, which was, I cried because I was like, I'm doing a show, but also a dream role and doing this. And he said, you know why I cast you? And I said, no, you don't need to tell me. He goes, no, I want to tell you. You know, I cast you because there's so much of you that came out in your audition. And that is what I wanted to see. People are going to love seeing you. And it was, to this day,
it sticks with you.
Yeah, it sticks.
Yeah.
And I ended up doing a bunch more productions with this man, and I'm very grateful to him every single day. Somehow, random happenstance, Seth Rudetsky brought us together.
Yeah, I think that, like, the universe works in such, like, miraculous, like, weird ways sometimes. I'm working at a Walgreens in Barnegat, New Jersey. I'm like, you know, maybe this is it. Maybe I'm just not meant for this. And I was in the aisles. It was like 20 minutes later. I was in the aisles. I was singing, and a woman walked up to me, and she's just like, "Oh my gosh, you have the most beautiful voice." And I'm just like, "Thank you so much. That's so sweet." And she's like, "What are you doing here?" And I'm just like, you know, like stocking boxes and stuff. I don't know, whatever I was doing. She's like, no. What are you doing here? Why aren't you out there? You are meant to do this. Like, you know, like, keep going. Like, my God, the world needs to hear that voice. Like, you have to do this. You're meant to do this. And, like, that wording, it changed my life.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And what I find interesting is the fact that the people who were meant to give us guidance and motivation in other environments did not. And they tried to put us in a box and pigeonhole us and make us feel like, you know, yes, we could be meant to do this, but only on their terms. And yet when we're unapologetically ourselves in a natural state, just, you know, stocking boxes and singing little ditties, that's when people see us for who we are and genuinely enjoy that. We don't need the validation always, but it's nice to hear. It's nice to have
so
that.
Nice.
Especially from strangers.
Yeah. I was waiting for people to tell me who they saw me as.
Yeah.
Who was I as a performer? And yeah, that's the mindset that I left the school with. And it took me a long time. It took me a long time to not think that way anymore.
Amen to that. So what did you do to help get yourself out of there and create your own opportunities?
Yeah. Oh, I love that question. So let's see. Emma helped a lot with that in the prom because I was auditioning for it and I was practicing with like a vocal coach and I was singing for my sister and I'm like, you know, I could be either of these girls. Why not? And I was just singing these songs and she was just like, yeah, Emma. And I'm like, huh? What? Huh? And she's just like, Emma. And she's just like, you have such a connection to her. I can't explain it. You could tell it matters to you. You can tell you want to tell her story. Something that also helped. I discovered actor therapy in the city. Yeah. With Ryan Scott Oliver and Lindsay Mendez.
Love them both.
Yes, me too. And he was fantastic. And there were so many options of what we could do. And one of those days, I went in, and I asked him, and I'm like, I'm having a really hard time with who I would go in for. And, like, you know, I know we're trying to, like, you know, demystify type. I'm not trying to promote that at all. It's just, how can I find roles that I want to be? Because I had dream roles, but they were all over the map. Like, you know, I had Ariel in The Little Mermaid, and then I had Janice in Mean Girls, like, which is, like, still fine.
We love range.
But he helped me with that, and he basically narrowed it down to me writing adjectives about myself, and then just naming a bunch of random shows, and then finding characters that matched those words.
Ooh, I like that. I recommend everybody do that. That's actually a really good idea.
Yeah, and I And that's what I did just now with like the adjectives. That's how I came up with those. Like,
Love that. I love that so freaking much. That's amazing.
thank you. Yeah.
It's-
And it came to those examples where it was just like, all right, it's less about I can play anybody. Now it's more, and I'm just like, okay, who do I want to put the time and effort into becoming and learning? It was like, again, just like brain exploded. My mom, her and I share a dental hygienist, and her daughter went to AMDA. And for a long time she was trying to sell me on it, like, go back to school, because like student loans were coming in, and like I was working full time at these jobs, and she's just like, go check it out, go to an open house. I'm like, no, I don't want to go back to school. I'm done with school. I want to work. And while I thought I could just take what I learned at my first school and like go out into the world with it, it wasn't enough. There was a lot that I learned, but there was a lot more that I needed to learn. And I think I had to go out and find it in different places. So I went to the open house at AMDA, September 2023, I think. And then the next day I came back to audition. Started 2 weeks later.
I love that. That's incredible. And it's like everything really just comes together as it needs to, but like the fact that it came together for you so fast.
Yeah,
Proves that was the path that you needed to be on in that moment.
Yeah.
I respect that so much.
Thank you. And then I took the people that were in Elf with me, and I'm like, all right, we're gonna do a show.
Yeah.
And I had the 3 best people, I think, that I could have gotten. We sung songs from Ordinary Days.
I love that
The Adam
show.
Blonde.
So underrated.
Me too.
Truly.
And
I
it
love
was
it.
perfect. Yeah, me too. And it was perfect because it was a night to be at the Green Room 42, sing in New York, about being in New York. I had the perfect cast for it. And we performed, and my God, it was wonderful. They were wonderful there. The people there at the Green Room 42, shout out. Like, they were absolutely wonderful. We went there and they're just like, okay, all right, what kind of mics do you guys want? And we're just like, huh? What kind of lights do you guys want?
We get lights?
Yeah, it was bougie, and it was great.
I love it.
It was wonderful, and we got to just be together, 4 people from New Jersey who just did a community theater production of Elf, came together and performed something beautiful. And that was an example, especially coming out of my old school, being like, wait, I can do this? I can do this? I can do, like, my own work in that way?
I think that that's fantastic and so inspiring, because I think a lot of people think in the theater world, if you're either just starting or coming out of college or just trying to kind of wrap your brain around this, it can be hard to think about literally knowing that you are able to have these opportunities for yourself. And it's not, I don't want to say it's not that hard. Of course it's hard, but like if you really put in the work and you know what you want and gather your resources and talk to people, you can have these opportunities. And it's all you. It's all you.
Yeah.
And you get to bring that joy from your life and bring it out into the world and share with others. And I think it's so awesome that you did that.
And the one piece of advice that like semesters ahead of me would give all of us, they would be like, use your teachers. Use the pianist, use your teachers as resources. And if there's a particular like role or like material that you want to work on, let them know. And it really does help. There's I'm working on showcase rehearsal right now, and we're pitching songs, and they're giving us suggestions, and they're just like, let us know what you think about it, because this is how we get to know you. And we don't want to put you up there with a song that's not going to be your best. So they are advocating for us, which I find really cool, because you advocate for yourself, people start advocating for you because they know that you can handle it. But yeah, try everything once. And then if it's not for you, say it.
Yeah.
Say it because it matters.
I was just about to say, like, in terms of advocating for yourself, what do you think the number one thing to think about is? And I think, say something is a huge part of it.
Let people know. Yeah, 1000%. Especially teachers. Especially teachers who are there to teach you. And then, like, the good teachers shouldn't have too much of a problem about it. They shouldn't try to, like, sell you on something. It should just be, take the material. It's like, all right, I'll learn it. You do it because chances are, if you do it and they watch it, they're like, yeah, that's not right. And it's just like, I know it's not right, but and then they should ask your opinions. Like, what do you think about this song?
Yeah.
You know, and if there's even like a slice of doubt in your mind, you know, you shouldn't be fighting with it. You shouldn't be like, I'm scared they'll get mad at me. I'm scared that they won't like me. They'll think I'm hard to work with.
Yeah.
And that's the thing.
Yeah.
There's like, you know, there's a huge difference, I think, between advocating for yourself and being a diva.
Yes.
There's a huge difference. And it took me a long time to learn because I never wanted to be someone that people didn't want to work with or be difficult or have someone, or, you know, someone give me something and be just like, no, I'm not going to sing that. So I think that helps with trying it. Even if you have a feeling about it, just try it. Then you can come in and be like, I did the work. I did what you asked. I tried. It's just not for me. I just don't think they showcase me. I don't think they show me off how I want to present myself. It's something that I can do. And if people ask me, like, definitely, like, got it right off the top of my head. And, you know, I'll keep it in my book for contrast. But I think for this chance, especially for something where it's showcasing me, you have to be your biggest advocate.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more. It made me think a little bit about how when I was finishing my college experience, I had a teacher who I still love and respect to this day, because we've met outside of school and we realized, you know, what our similarities and differences were. But a note they once gave me is, listen, you're a character actor, which means you probably won't hit your prime and get a lot of work until you're 50. Which, you know, is hard to hear as a, I don't know, 24-year-old, that I'm not going to work. I was 24 at the time. You know, I wasn't going to get work until I was 50. And I was like, well, I don't agree. And that was met with resistance. And it wasn't until a little bit after that experience that I was really able to explore that and be like, you know what? I was right. Yeah. And now I want to be able to prove, and I want to remind myself of that, because I doubted it. I had a lot of doubt because I was like, I don't know. I don't know where I fit. I don't know where I am. And now here we are.
It also comes along with, like, and we've talked about this, huge thing, everything happening for a reason.
Yes.
Because it does. Because it, like, those productions of Shrek, I think you'd be amazing in Shrek.
Thank you.
Their loss. That's absolutely crazy to me. You're the exact kind of person to think that should be in a show like Shrek.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. But, like, everything happens for a reason. Like, you know, turns out that creative team wasn't, you know, or multiple creative teams apparently weren't great.
No.
Like, it could have been a horrible experience. And so I think also, like, trying something, or, like, you know, if you don't get into a show, it's like, maybe there's a reason for it. Yeah. You know, there's something better waiting. Maybe you're meant to be doing something else right now. And I think another part with advocacy is, like, you know, reaching out. And that's a scary thing as well. But, like, you know, if you have a performance coming up, or, like, you know, a lot of agencies, they'll say it on their website, or a lot of casting directors, they love open submissions. And so you'd be like, hey, I'm doing this thing right now. I submitted to a couple agencies before coming to AMDA, and it just didn't, I didn't hear back. It wasn't that right time. And so I think, you know, everything happens for a reason.
Yeah, I very, very much agree. And it's also one of those things, everything happens for a reason, but along with that, the fact that you put in the work, and we're like, you know what? I'm going to do this, because I'll be honest, it wasn't until maybe a couple years ago that I didn't know you could just submit yourself. I thought you had to either be approached or have a manager already to find agents. And, like, this is, I totally admitted this was unfamiliar territory for me. Yeah. You know, but again, create your own opportunities. You know what you have to offer now. Yeah. It all aligns. It all aligns.
Yeah, it's not going to make or break you. Like, you know, still write what you're writing, still, like, perform, still be, like, you know, go to school. You know, if you still want some more training, take a class. Like, there's so much we can do. And it really, the saying goes around. I never understood it for such a long time. I wonder how you feel about this, but I'm understanding it now, where it's like having a life outside of performing, outside of auditioning, outside of, being artists and working professionals. It's so important. It's so important, because the only way that you're going to realize that, like, you can still be creative and do these creative ventures and make work on your own is to have that life on the outside.
Yeah. You know what? It's really interesting you say that, because that's what 2025 has been for me. That was a goal of mine to start, because I realized that I didn't really do much outside of this, and not for any real reason other than, oh, well, I want to dedicate my time to putting in the work to doing the thing that I want to do most. Of course, who wouldn't want to do that? But then I wasn't doing anything, because I wasn't booking, and it really took a toll on me. And I was like, okay, I really need to kind of do a deep dive on myself and see what my life is like outside of this. And to be honest, that's actually kind of how this podcast was born, because what do I love to do besides perform? Oh, I really love to talk to people about the world and the industry, and just talking to people and telling stories and just having a chill time and being geeks and nerds and call things out, but also just the production aspect of things. Like, am I taking a break and finding out my life outside of theater? Yes, but I also realize that there are other things in arts that I love. I'm also working on film now, and also getting back into drawing and writing, and I didn't realize I had a big old stack of books that I hadn't read. I go on walks, all these things. It's just coming to find myself and find my center and meditate on that.
And I think this is like, this podcast specifically, like, it's such a necessity. I think it is so special, because I think looking at like podcast episodes and looking at like TikTok, and like a lot of people I've seen right now, actually it's that time of year where people are booking everything. So many people are booking things, and it can be disheartening. And it can be like, wow, okay, all right, it's happening for them. It's their moment. That takes a little bit of work to, like, not be like, but like, that's their journey. Good, that's working out for them. And then I think, talking to people, so that they don't feel alone. I think this is great. I think it's a great outlet, and I hope more, like, more people listen to it, and more people, like, I hope you got a whole lineup of guests coming up. I'm very excited. But I think it's so helpful, so that, like, we don't just watch these people that have, like, thousands of millions of followers, which, like, good for them. Like, that took work.
My God,
like,
absolutely.
That didn't happen overnight.
No.
But, like, there are people that, like, that are like me, who are trying. And, like, while it's not, like, to that extent or to that level, I think it is still important to, like, hey, these are the little people trying out here. And you might be a person just like that, and you might see all these people, like, living their dream life and going on these huge contracts and booking cruises, and it's like, well, then there's also the behind the scenes of, like, all the work that they're doing, and then all the work that, like, artists in general are just doing. Because, like, and I do appreciate that, like, a lot of people, especially creatives, have been so vulnerable about that. How it's not always, like, highlights and booking jobs and stuff. But a lot of times that can be what it's seen as. So I think this is really nice. And I'm really glad. I hope it continues to grow for you. I really do.
Thank you. I'm really trying not to cry right now, because this is a project that it means so much to me. And I really genuinely just love hearing everyone's journey, because it's all so different, and yet we all kind of intersect at times, and some people don't realize that. And I know it's in, like, my promo line of every role in theater matters, but, like, I truly mean it. I grew up with my dad's a techie, my mom's a dancer, writer, actor, producer. I grew up with these community theaters where everyone did everything, and I learned from them. And everything about this industry fascinates me. And I genuinely want everyone to know that I care about what they do. And I know that there are others that do as well, even if they aren't told enough. And so I'm very happy that I have you as my guest. I do have other guests lined up, and I'm excited to keep that going. And before I cry again, we're going to take a short break. Now that I'm not crying anymore, what we're going to do right now is play the Green Room Games. I actually don't have a title for this yet. I probably will in post. Here's the title of this game.
Yeah.
I love it. It's great. It fits.
Great.
Where you are going to pitch me a fresh, new, wild version of a show in existence, but not telling me what the show is, and I'm going to guess.
Okay. So, we were on the Muppet Talk before.
Yeah. I love the Muppets.
Oh gosh.
Which
too.
Muppet are you?
Is it bad to say Kermit?
No, never. Oh my
I
god.
love Kermit the Frog.
Hell yeah.
I have such memories of like Rainbow Connection. It's one of my dad's favorite songs.
Mine too. I'm a gonzo.
Love it.
Through and through. Through and
love
through.
it. Yeah.
But yeah, so
Okay.
Muppet Talk, yeah?
Yeah. Okay, alright. So, Kermit has a secret.
Oh.
Kermit can't tell anybody. Especially like the people closest to him. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So that makes him like really lonely and by himself a lot of the time. And people try so hard to get him to just like open up and talk to them, but he's got this secret and he can't tell anybody about it. Well, years and years later, the secret comes out.
Oh.
And Kermit is just like, no, oh my gosh, everybody knows my secret now. He has to run away. He runs away. And then Miss Piggy, because she loves him so much, she goes out to find Kermit. And now Kermit, he's just like, well, everybody knows my secret. So he sings like a whole big song about it. And Miss Piggy is just like, embrace your uniqueness, Kermit. You're not alone. Everybody loves you. Just like, come back. Come back with us to Manhattan. And Kermit is like, no, I'm embracing who I am now. My secret is out in the world. I can't go back. I will never go back. And Miss Piggy brings along Gonzo. And she brings along Rizzo the Rat. And they're all in this, like, huge adventure together trying to get Kermit to come home. And Kermit is just like, no. And the big thing about Kermit's secret is that he's really afraid of, like, hurting people. Especially the people, like, around him that are, like, the closest to him. So that's why he had the secret in the first place.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm like really. Does this show? Is this show pre 2000 or post 2000?
Post.
Okay. Is Kermit a representation of a Broadway veteran? No. Oh, so this
No, but like she's done.
But she's
done a
known.
lot. Yeah.
Did I make this too hard for me?
No, it's okay.
Can I
it's
get another
okay.
hint?
I'm horrible at explaining things. Yeah,
I love it.
1000%. Kermit has a magical power.
Oh. I love how I immediately went to Carrie. That's not the plot of Carrie. Doesn't anybody ever get it right? Oh, wait, actually, now I'm just imagining Kermit as Carrie. Doesn't anybody ever get it right? That was an awful Kermit impression. Never mind. Forgive me.
Doesn't anybody ever get it right?
I liked it.
Oh, God. See, we're making these up on the spot, y'all. I'm working on this. This is only the primary episodes. So, by the way, if you already know what this is, put it in the comments. Not that I'll be able to see it right now, but shove it in my face. It's totally okay. We're all friends here. If you can replace one of the Muppets with one of the human cast members that was in this show, who would be in it?
Who would be the person?
Yeah.
Jonathan Groff. Just Jonathan Groff with a bunch of Muppets.
I feel like that's his everyday life. And no matter what this answer is, I feel like there just needs to be a Jonathan Groff Muppet version of this. Oh man, this is gonna kill me. It is a secret. Secret. I got a secret. No, I don't know. Tell me.
That's okay. It's Frozen. With the Muppets and Jonathan Groff, or maybe Josh Gad.
Oh my god.
Probably Josh Gad.
Okay.
He's used to playing a snowman.
Okay. You know, it's like once you say it, now that I think about it, I'm like, oh my god, yeah. Now I understand. For some reason, I was thinking originally like, oh, it's Jekyll and Hyde, but I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. And then I was thinking of a show by Todd Almond that never happened about it was on Laura Benanti's cast album where she played a woman named Constance who was agoraphobic, and I was like, oh, it's honestly, I wish it was still done. Todd, you're probably not watching, but if you are, get on it, Todd. Okay,
but yeah, I try my best. I'm not the best with like explanations.
No,
it's
fine. Listen, this is why these games are workshopped, and thank you so much for playing that with me. That was really fun, and now it makes me want to like see a Muppet Frozen really, really badly.
Yeah, me too.
I'll put money towards that.
Yeah, I was trying to say Jonathan Groff without giving the whole thing away.
I love that,
but because he's been in everything and he's amazing, I was like, yeah,
truly, love him.
Yeah, me too.
Awesome.
Me too.
So I'm going to turn to the audience right now, and we're going to answer or respond to a few of the audience's responses. So the question that I asked was, I wanted to know if anyone else has ever felt, put in a box or pigeonholed by directors, mentors, teachers, and how they kind of dealt with that situation. And so we have a few here. The first one I have here is by Katie, who said that so Katie's a dancer, and Katie said that they were stereotyped in the fact that because of the way their build is, they were never looked at as a ballerina type. They were immediately looked at as a powerhouse dancer, and they put them into strong jazz or hip hop. And this kills me. They said, I was actually told as an assistant teacher, age 13, 14, that the students should do a better passe than me because I have fat thighs, so my passe isn't high enough. I mean, listen, the dance world is already hard enough, you know, and it's one of those things where, as someone who is not the best dancer, I'm a strong mover, if anything, but but here's the thing, anyone who can dance, if you can dance ballet and you look amazing at it, you're a ballerina. That's just who you are. Yeah. You can be whatever kind of dancer you want to be, no matter what you look like. And the fact that this teacher told them this as a teenager, that's awful. Awful.
Yeah. Well, I really appreciate, Katie, I really appreciate you sharing your experience like that. Yeah. That could not have been easy to go through, and it could not have been easy to think about. So first I want to thank you for that. Yeah. Because one of the most important things that I think will help us is to be open about it so that we can open a discussion and talk about it. I can't speak specifically to the dance world. But what I will say is that your talent is so needed. And I hope you're still dancing. I hope that didn't dissuade you. I'm sure you're a beautiful dancer. Mm-hmm. I'm not great at ballet, so definitely better than me. As someone who also has thicker thighs, and isn't the smallest person around, I can speak on my experience there, where it's okay, I know what I'm able to offer. And I really do hope, and I hope you have found at least one mentor or one person who does know you, who does know what you can do and supports you. Find, more classes and any opportunities where you can meet with teachers or mentors who can encourage you to show what you have, because there's like people of all shapes and sizes. So please keep dancing. I hope it really didn't discourage you from doing that, because it's so important. And yeah, thank you so much for like reaching out and sharing your story.
Yeah, Katie, I appreciate you sharing this as well. And I also hope that if and when you ever decide to become a teacher yourself, that you know exactly how to treat your students and not to give them the same experience. And I hate that you had to go through that too, because that's... I could go into a whole rant about the people who act like this around, especially teenagers and children, but I digress. Another comment I have here is from Mike, who said that they had a horrible director who stereotyped the entire company, and if we were not up his game, or if we were not up to his standards, he would throw us out. That is ridiculous. I also see a note here that this director was also just really into hating on all the students and being like, okay, you're a wannabe. You obviously aren't here to train. You just are here to mooch off of others, and that's awful. Like, what? Why on earth?
It's not even a training thing.
No.
Yeah.
But like, if you're a part of a theater company that you auditioned for to get in, or just a masterclass or a training program of any kind, why on earth would anyone think that they weren't there because they don't want to learn?
You're there to take your passion and your gifts and put it into a community and put it into a production full of other people who want to do just that. Maybe some people want to do it as just like a hobby and do it for fun. Maybe some people want to pursue it. But you're all there to accomplish one common goal.
Mike, thank you so much for submitting that as well. I really appreciate you sharing your story. The next comment that I have is from someone who wishes to remain anonymous, but they said, I feel like I've been pigeonholed by an entire theater company because they only ever cast me in ensemble, and they've never given me a chance outside of small bit roles. I've never been a lead, and it's starting to really hurt. Now, this is something that I definitely can understand, because, you want to be able to have those moments. Being a lead, it can be fun. But something that I've really learned over the years is, there are two things. One, being an ensemble is a wonderful thing. It really is. It gives you more time on stage. It gives you more of a reason to kind of... this is just something I did. I created characters for myself. I gave myself a backstory. I gave myself stakes. Yeah. Because the ensemble is the world building aspect. And that is what helps build up the leads, But the disheartening part of constantly not getting a lead after you've worked very hard to kind of make yourself better, train yourself, do everything, it can be difficult. There are often times where I think, if they are not providing you with the opportunities that you want, go somewhere else.
Yeah, there was a production of High School Musical Junior that I was in, and I got a call back for Sharpay, and to this day I think in my head I'm like, what? And I didn't get it. I ended up getting Martha, the pop and lock, like breakdance, hip hop dance. And I was like, and I was bummed, and I'm just like, oh man, like I tried my hardest, like I was disappointed, and I ended up like, going to the bathroom. I was in a stall. I was crying. There was a little girl who was in the bathroom with, I think, like her sister, or there was someone in there with her, and she was crying, and she's just like, oh my gosh, and this other person's on the phone like, Mom, I don't know what to do. She's just like, she's freaking out, like I don't know what to tell her. So I will say this, that experience and the experience of like, not getting the lead and like, getting ensemble, like, because that happened for a good couple years. That allowed me to go out and know exactly what to say to this little girl And I was just like, oh my gosh, like, who did you want? She's like, I wanted Gabriella or something. And I'm just like, oh, well, who did you get cast as? She's just like, a cheerleader. And I'm like, a cheerleader? Oh my gosh. And it got her really excited and it helped her. So I will say that, like, these experiences, like being stuck in the ensemble, sometimes you feel like you're not going anywhere. And then, like, sometimes you get to create your own characters and own backstories. But when it happens over and over and over again, you wonder, why not me? What can I be doing differently? And for one, I can say that you can take these experiences to help somebody else. Because I guarantee, especially in the world of theater, you will not be the only one. And you can share that story as well. And if you want a chance to, like, you know, be the lead and perform in front of anybody, perform in front of your family, perform in front of your friends, book a spot. There are places that they allow bookings where it's like, if you can say you could sell a certain amount of tickets, you can book a place in New York City and you could put on your own one-woman show where you can sing. It's another example of making your own opportunities. And I get it. And I get the validation that comes from it. And being in the ensemble, you can also think of it as, like, you know, you're in the show.
Yeah.
You made it.
Yeah.
You made it. And so that's my advice. Create your own opportunities, and figure out why you want it so much. Because if the only reason you want it is to just have, like, a light on you and have all the attention be on you and the fame, that's not the right reason. Because you're going to be chasing that forever.
Agreed. Very much agree. I also am of the mindset where, like, this one theater company is not the end all be all for opportunities. You know, go out there. Go, like, leave. Get out of here. Go travel. Figure out, you know, go look up theaters that you like other theaters that are doing shows that you genuinely enjoy. And present yourself.
There are people that get together. They just read scripts from musicals all the time. They just do it themselves, I remember doing that over the shutdown. I would do Zoom readings with friends all the time. And it's just, we ended up, you know, recording them, and some people use them for their reels because they don't have any other ways of doing that, or just having that copy for themselves. It's great. It's a lot of fun. You know, I didn't think it was possible, but I got the four of us. I got 4 people together. Find a venue. Find musicians, you know, find pianists that you can pay for.
Yes.
For their troubles. And have a show.
Yeah.
You know, maybe get a script. Maybe, like, put on a little concert. There's so many things that you can do.
As we wrap things up, I just want to thank you, Jill, for being here and being truly authentically you. I just want to give you a moment right now to promote anything that's coming up for you, where people can find you, and what's going on.
Yeah. So, my socials on Instagram, love_peace_1122. I did that thing in middle school where they were like, I let someone, whoever liked it first, they got to pick the username. And they picked that one, and it is stuck ever since.
Love that.
It's so lovely.
I love that.
On TikTok, it is Jillian Noel 5. And at AMDA in Manhattan, if you're near the area or local to it, I have 4 showcases coming up. 4 different dates. I have a musical theater showcase. That will be May 1st at 9 p.m. It's a Thursday. Don't worry if you can't make it. And then May 3rd, it's a Saturday, 6:30 p.m. And then my drama showcase is at the beginning of June when I'm graduating. So one is June 6th at 6:30, and then on a Saturday, June 7th at 4 p.m.
Fantastic. So we're going to put all of these things on screen and in the description. That way we can all support each other. You can see what Jill is up to. I am so excited to see what's coming up for you and what's coming next, because the star quality is just beaming from you. You're glowing. Manifesting. That's the word of the day. Manifest. Y'all are capable of achieving everything and anything you want, because if you advocate for yourself and really rise to the occasion, anything is possible. Anything is possible. On that note, my name is Marisa Helene Mast. You're the audience. This has been Call Time, a TheaterPod. Bye-bye now.